to engage with us in the future. So yeah, if you'd prefer not to appear, turn it off now. If not, we will be hitting record and starting to get on with the session.
Miss Natalie, I'm trying to mute myself.
Oh, let me see if I
don't know what's happening. I can
Yes, please, can you mute?
Just mute me from your side.
We will do, thank you. All done. Brilliant. Thank you so much. So, okay, without further ado, let's get started. So I am joined today by Kamona, Somaira, and Freya, some of our teachers and students from 2 different schools that work with Apps for Good. And thank you all for taking part in this session today. This session is part of WeAreTechWomen's week in Women in Tech week. There's a lot of week and women going on there, and we're going to discuss why breaking down barriers for women in tech begins in education. So I'm going to kick off by asking our teachers and students to introduce themselves. So if I start with you, Kamona, put you on the spot, sorry, could you tell us a little bit about your role and your personal journey into teaching young people about technology?
So my name is Kamona Kareem, and I'm a teacher of computing at Partridge High School. I've been in teaching for now this is my 5th year. I love problem solving and making a difference. So my journey started basically in high school. I mean, when I was in high school, we didn't have any computing, but I loved making things, and I used to watch my dad fix things because he was an electronical engineer. So for me, it was all about the insides and outsides. So I did my GCSE in electronics and woodwork, which then gave me the pathway and journey into computing afterwards. Computing is something I kind of looked at in my time because I liked the whole idea of web design, and then I went into like the hardware. I love the hardware. That's my favorite part. Coding and everything else comes afterwards. It's a little bit more harder than hardware, but you know how it is computing. You're either a hardware person or a programmer, and I'm more of a hardware person. Yeah, so I try and pass on that little spark to all my students, and the fact of enjoying making something and actually seeing it happen, because that's what I used to love about electronics, making my things. I still have them at home, my little piano and my little floodlight. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll come back to you, Freya and Anais, in a minute with a separate question. You can get the chance to say hello. But Somaira, assuming you can still hear us, although we can't see you yet, are you okay to come off mute? And yeah, tell us a bit about your role and your personal journey into teaching young people about technology.
Lovely. So my name is Somaira. I'm one of the associate assistant principals at Shining Collegiate Academy, and I'm also like head of L4L. I've been in teaching for over 17 years. From far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I just loved working with young people. And in particular, technology is something which I've learned so much about. So I still remember the day when we were all sent towards a computer room, and my IT teacher had said, right, we've got the internet, and I would like you all to search something up. And because I was part of that generation, we never had this opportunity. I didn't know what to search up. I mean, I was into books and magazines and toys, but to be able to tell, right, okay, now guys, search something up. And I remember searching up my favorite pop group or something at that time. But I think what I've learned and what I want to share with the young people is how technology is so powerful, and in particular within the education sector, how technology is so important for the jobs that our young people will be doing. Oh, you fixed it. Thank you, Miss. For the jobs that our young people will be doing. Thank you. So I remember being taught how to write an email towards the end of sort of sixth form. And then when I started my going to college, going to university, using technology, using the internet, using the resources. So within education, I really want young women to feel empowered. I really want them to excel and open those doors at the moment that don't seem to be there at all, and find those new opportunities. And I think technology has that power, and it's about enabling our young people to have that and then to celebrate. And I think Apps for Good has been absolutely amazing. We've been doing it for years and years at Shyland, and what it does is it really gives our young people a platform to really work, but really engage with outside organizations, really speak to industry experts, which they've not done before. So, and I think that is the beauty of technology. It has so many of these skills which help our young people, and it opens the doors.
Brilliant, thank you. And it's lovely to be able to see your face as well. Perfect timing. And that brings me on nicely to my next question and point, really. So earlier this year, actually, WeAreTechWomen published their Lovelace report, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And that set out to really explore why women in UK tech aren't progressing or staying at the pace that they should. And they found that between 40,000 and 60,000 women leave the UK's tech sector every year, costing the economy an estimated 2 to 3.5 billion annually. And what really kind of, I guess, stood up to me about that was that 90% of the women surveyed want to lead. So they have that kind of ambition there, but only 25% really believe that they can. So coming to our wonderful students, Anais and Freya, and you can decide who goes first, but what do you think would encourage more girls into computing at school and further education that would hopefully then, you know, lead on to women going into these tech roles and these senior roles in tech? Kind of, yeah, what can we do to really encourage those girls into computing?
Well, I think that maybe within like computing and IT lessons, show like more female role models, so that girls can aspire to be similar to them.
Yeah, I think the same. When you look at, we have a timeline over there. When you look back historically, and we always talk about the male role models because obviously back in those eras, it was more socially acceptable for males to be the main presenters of big discoveries and big events. So in our generation and the generations before us, the only people who they have to look up to are males. So I suppose that creates that divide. But in the future, I think hopefully we can create more models of people who are female to lead in future generations.
Brilliant. And you're both very lucky because you've got Miss there to look up to. Hopefully she's a nice role model for you. Anything you would like to add to that, Kamona or Somaira?
I agree with them. We do need more role models, and I've been talking to I actually emailed Jodie the other day because the girls are really, I had all my girls wanting to come on to this today for both classes, and we've had loads of girls pick computer science and GTech, unlike usual, because of That's for Good. And that is giving them the knowledge that it's not just computing is wide. It's not one narrow pathway. And we need more of that. We need more things like Apps for Good that show that computing isn't just about coding, and there's more elements to it. There's design, there's creative, there's so many different elements. And we need to have more workshops where they can go and see real life people like yourselves, everybody on here. I'm looking at people thinking, oh my God, there's so many women out there, but they don't get to meet any of these women. So it'd be great to have that kind of opportunity.
Great, brilliant. Anything to add?
Natalie, I agree with Kamona and the students. I honestly do believe that we need more role models. So I think getting people into schools, sharing their success stories, sharing the different platforms that they work in and are involved in, sharing their journeys into their roles. But I also agree with the idea of experiences and workshops. So I know our students went to the NEC last year, some of our girls did, and again, it was all to do with women in tech, but really highlighting some of the key events that enable our young people to see what is out there. And I think building more educational programs where we do, so for example, in our school, at the end of each theme, we have a careers lesson where we look at different careers within that sector. But I think there's a real opportunity for bringing in women and some of the careers that women are involved in and creating a bit more exposure so our young women do get to see that. And I think it's finding those role models, getting them into schools, having competition weeks, it's creating, and then we can begin to change that culture narrative.
Brilliant. Well, I think from what I can see, there's lots of potential role models on this call here today, and we'll touch on the end how you can get involved in our work at Apps for Good, and yeah, maybe get some of you volunteering with our classes across the UK. Brilliant. So from, I guess, the various interventions that you have in your school, including Apps for Good, what have you noticed in terms of that gender diversity? And you did already start to touch on this a little bit, Kamona, but in terms of that gender diversity of students going on to choose to take BTEC or GCSE level kind of computing or relevant subjects, have you seen a difference there after taking part in something like Apps for Good? And why do you think that is? What's kind of I guess, sparking their initial kind of interest and going on to study that subject?
Well, when I first came here in Butteridge, literally in my IT class, there was 3 girls in both IT class, and I think we were about 4 girls in our computer science class. And that was because their parents made them take the subject, not because they wanted to. Whereas now, I would assume you guys want to do the course. And I remember Freya having the discussion with me last year, well, at the end of the option year, that she was in 2 minds whether to take it or not. And I feel like the Apps for Good, Design for SDG, all these competitions that we've actually entered has pushed you towards IT. You're allowed to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like they has added, because I now have a larger number of girls taking IT and computing, and I feel like the fact that they've taken a real world challenge and actually tackled it, and actually can see that their ideas can become real. It's like the other day in open evening, Monet was showing off her Apps for Good entrance, and people were like, all the parents were like, this is what you guys actually do. This is really great. And I had a lady come in from Luton Council, and she was like, why don't you guys suggest it to Luton Council? And I would love to get paid to recycle, because her thing is trash for cash. I would love to get paid to recycle. And it was just that energy that we were getting from people. So that's what makes it real for them, and they can see that it's not just for men, it's for women too, and people do appreciate their work. I think it's just them seeing people appreciate it makes it more real.
Brilliant. And I love that you've got the parents in as well to get them to see, yeah, what's coming out of courses like Apps for Good. Anything to add from your point of view, what you see at Shyland?
Yes, and Natalie at Shyland. So all students, when they start year 7, all students have an IT lesson year 7, year 8 and 9. And what we've been doing really is through the curriculum, trying to connect with various different organizations. So whether it's Digital Schoolhouse, Cisco Networking, Apps for Good, it's getting that feed in, but really sharing the work that they do. And for example, at the end of year 8, we've trialed it out for this year. All 250 students sat a bit of an entrance exam for year 9. So we've identified the top 50 students who have done really well in computer science. And what that's enabled us to do is then in year 8, that's a class that's a mixture of girls and boys. We haven't done something like this before, but what we're doing is we're kind of getting them ready for that options process. So if they've had a real flavor and a diet of computer science, but at the same time, it's our Key Stage 4 teachers that teach year 7, year 8 ICT, and it's building those conversations. So of course, in year 11 at the moment, we've now got 2 to 3 girls doing computer science, but in year 10, we've got now 5. And with the 50 students in year 9, we're hoping that more girls will be selecting computer science. Across the BTECs, we've got 33 girls. But again, when we talk to the IT and computer science department, they are continuously working to support girls and really encourage them into looking at the different the professions. And often, Natalie, what I have noticed is often they don't know where this qualification will lead to. They want to know more about, oh, okay, there's a job here. Actually, I could do this, I could do that. And that's what they want to do. With the certain subjects, it's quite easy. So, for example, sciences, well, actually, I could go into this route, I could go into that. And I think it goes back to more exposure, more making it the norm. For example, in our IC department, Nav, who just sorted my camera out, she's the only female in the IT department, and she is in charge of so much. So I have said to her, in a few weeks' time, when we're heading towards Apps for Good, I'd love for you to come in and share your journey, because we need to create that exposure. We need the young people to know, well, actually, this is what Mrs. and Mrs. right at the top. So it helps with changing that culture.
Yeah, definitely. There's a real strong theme here, isn't there, of kind of role models coming through, but then also, just kind of understanding what a role in tech looks like. And quite frankly, sorry, Anais and Freya, but we don't always know, right? The world is it's moving so quickly, so it's hard to keep up to speed. So it's so important to just really kind of hone in on those skills. Brilliant. So as you know, probably most of you know on this call, but as part of the Apps for Good process, our students create an app that solves a problem that's really, really important to them. And I know we've just heard a little bit about Anais' app, but it would be really nice if maybe Freya and I or either of our teachers would be happy to share a couple of examples of those kind of ideas that students have come up with, and really why that kind of independence and that focus on the students choosing a problem that matters to them is maybe helping them kind of consider a career in technology. Shall I come to you, Freya and Anais, first? Do you want to share your app ideas?
When I came into Luton, I noticed that there was lots of waste everywhere, like around schools, around public areas, and it discourages people from coming into those areas and socializing and promoting other things in that area, not just environment. I know I've like blurred out. But I think that if we encourage the specifically young individuals to embrace the environments that they have, to go outside and actually engage with their environment rather than constantly like with technology, that they can help contribute to society. So my idea was that you use AI as a tool to help you like litter and not litter, pick up litter and put it into bins. And when you do this, you get rewards. So this could be a digital point that you can exchange onto other platforms. So like Amazon gift vouchers and things like that. And it's like an incentive for people to help contribute. So it has like lots of different games in it. So that we had like minute bingo and daily goals and little reminders and stuff. So yeah.
Brilliant. And how did it feel, I suppose, kind of being challenged to think about your local community and a problem that you could see? Did it kind of give you more energy to want to make it work and get an app that kind of would make a difference?
Well, I've always thought about things like that. I really care about the environment, and I've done different tasks in primary school with things like this. So it wasn't really that difficult for me to choose an idea, but I think it was more difficult really to help find a way to convince other people to agree with me. Because if you look at the mindset of lots of people in our generation, it's hard to kind of find a way to get everybody on the same boat.
Yeah, brilliant. That definitely touches to probably my next question around essential skills. But does anyone else want to add anything there around kind of app ideas and that kind of focus on independent learning? Margaret,
Right.
just to say, we will give time for questions at the end. So I saw your hand go up there, so we'll come back and I'll make sure I leave some time at the end to ask some questions.
Ray, do you want to tell about your experience? Isn't it better to come from you than me? What did you get out of it? What were the skills that you got?
Well, a couple months ago, me and a couple of my friends did apps for good, and I think it was an opportunity to bond over things that we were passionate about and take the time to work together and see what each of us were good at.
Brilliant.
It was a really good team building skill. I mean, there are moments they didn't agree on things, but they found a way of agreeing on it eventually and working things out. So that is a really good skill to have in the real world, because when you go in the real world, you're not going to agree with everything everyone says. And I feel like that was a bit of a challenge that they had to go over, and then thinking about whether other people, taking critical criticisms from other people, so critical feedback. I think that's another element that we as adults have to deal with every day, and they don't get to see that. They just see a teacher telling them off, whereas this is like professional feedback that they're getting, and they get to feel what it's like to be in the real world. And we don't get enough of that because we are always working on curriculum and everything else. We don't actually let them feel what it is that they're going to be going into in the real world. So this kind of helps them to prepare. I've said real world a few times now. But yeah, it's about preparing their skills, like team working, being able to analyze their own work and criticize their own work, and also being able to accept critical feedback from others that view their work.
Great, thank you. Samara, sorry, you were going to say something?
Yes, I mean, I completely agree with Miss. I think Apps for Good does a really great job of building those teams, building skills, their communication skills, because you've got to refine what you're presenting to the industry expert. Really supports them with their technological skills. So students are using App Lab, they're using OneNote, they're collaborating together, they're putting together presentations, but then sharing, connecting, and editing. And it really enables them to work on a project and see the project really excel and unfold, really. And again, it enables them through the industry experts actually recognize that it's not perfect. I've got to edit it. I've got to improve it. I've got to make it even better. And just like life. And I think when we do that reflection with them at the end, it's so important. And it's so nice to see that the young people are able to reflect on the project and talk about what worked really well. Students who are really shy and quite reluctant to present in front of the class were now presenting in front of the class, but to an industry expert that they've never met before. And the confidence within them is amazing, and they're able to use real life problems. So one thing that Apps for Good allows them to do is look into the community that they are in and identify what are the problems, how can we help. So for our students, they looked at topics like mental health, they looked at period poverty, they looked at food banks, they looked at how can we help make the community safer for everyone, so it doesn't matter what time it is, but it's safe. What sort of apps can we develop? And it was really, really nice seeing them really look into real problems and trying to come up with ideas. So that was good.
Thank you. I'm very conscious of time, and I know there might be some questions from people. So I guess I was going to just see if there's any, I guess, closing comments from any of our teachers or students. And I was going to pose a question, but what would you like to see change in education to kind of better support girls specifically into their tech career? So a big question, but if we can get a quick insight from the four of you, if you want to, and then I will go to the chat and see if anyone's got any questions before we wrap up.
I think education, I would love to see education just to show girls technology isn't just about coding. Creativity and changing, it's about more than that. It's about creativity, it's about purpose, it's about changing lives. And some of the important inventions, they need to understand that without these inventions, we wouldn't have what we have today. So like Margaret Knight developed the flat bottom paper bag machine. We have Josephine Cochrane who invented the dishwasher. You don't realize without these things, we wouldn't have the lives we have today. And then the big one, Ada Lovelace, who wrote the world's first computer algorithm. I think we need to really push those things out. I mean, we do a little bit here and there, but we don't do enough. I feel like Ada Lovelace is everywhere, but who's heard of Margaret Knight? Who's heard of Josephine Cochrane? Who's heard of Hedy Lamarr, who pioneered Wi-Fi and GPS? Certainly I haven't until I did my research. So I'm like, who made the washing machine? A lady made the washing machine as well. So it's one of those things. I want girls to see women that have always been innovators. They've been around forever. It's just like Anais said earlier, they weren't published as much as men were. So we need to just break that barrier and bring in more female innovators. Even if it's the smallest thing like a dishwasher, actually it's a big thing. Especially if you've got loads of people in the house, you just bung it in the dishwasher. Without that, we wouldn't be like doing half the things we do. So yeah, I think we should bring more of those things in.
Brilliant. Girls, anything to add that you would like to see change in education to better support you in going into tech careers?
I'd say maybe more like girl only opportunities, so they don't just see loads of men in class with them or doing the same opportunities, that because they could like potentially like overpower or shoot down ideas.
I think that, sorry to interrupt. I think that obviously computer science and IT are our futures, but we need everybody to want to be able to contribute to those futures. So we can do that in lots of different ways, but we need people who are creative and able to innovate and create new things that can help everybody. So if you can pose problems that affect mainly the female audience, and the female audience will come out and say, hey, I have ideas. And that's how you then get people to help contribute to computer science. So, for example, if somebody said that, so if say we're taking this for example, so there aren't enough women in the computing workforces, we could have people help design apps or forums or things like that that actually encourage the younger females to step up into those roles.
That's a brilliant answer. And that, yeah, that lived experience is so, so important as we go on to create more tech for the world. Sorry, Somaira, do you want to add anything into that?
I mean, I just completely agree with everything that's been said. But again, more organisations going into schools, working with young girls, work experience. Why aren't we enabling our young girls to go and work with some of our fantastic role models within the community and society? But I think more exposure to them through the curriculum. So for us, we know Apps for Good has helped, but why aren't we doing Apps for Good in every school? And because what it does is it really gives that exposure. But I definitely think there's work for some really tech companies to go into schools and work with the girls, especially when we're getting closer to sort of start of year 9, working with the young girls, starting mini projects, summer schools, summer activities, bringing that excitement and that buzz that young people get with technology. And I think starting that journey earlier on, so even from, for example, year 6 into year 7, that summer school that we have, getting an organisation coming and working on a project with the girls and seeing that journey unfold from 7 to 9, and then you hope that they will actually take computer science or ICT and just run with it. So I think there's a real opportunity there for people to come in. We would always love organisations to come in, but sometimes we just don't know who to contact. But yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so, so much. I'm very, very conscious of time, but should we have a quick look? I don't know, Jess, if there's much in the chat from anyone. I know, Margaret, you did pop your hand up, and if you do have to drop off, then thank you so much for joining us. But did you have a question, Margaret?
So what I just wanted to comment is that I'm just speaking from my own point of view, and this is what I have noticed with teachers. Basically, teachers from my country, specifically Kenya, have refused to embrace change in technology. They think technology is hard. They think technology is a big deal, like it consumes a lot of time, but they don't know that technology has come to make our work easy. Technology in the hands of a teacher is a good thing, but the traditional way of doing things is lagging us behind. Because tell me, okay, I am a teacher, and at the same time, I'm so much into crypto trading. I have the initiative of teaching teachers for free. I don't charge them. How we can trade money, how we can buy crypto and make profits. A teacher who is making money in crypto is also a healthy teacher, is mentally in terms of even health, like financially stable. This transmits proportionally in class. So if you don't embrace technology in your day-to-day life, I wonder why I should even trust you with my kid. Because like I've come to a point, I'm just speaking for my Kenyan teachers. I don't know about you guys. I think for your case, it's a different one. So like for my Kenyan teachers, they have completely refused to cooperate. Our government has refused to cooperate. And that's why I can't stay in my country. I have to stay in a country where at least technology is better and it's very supportive. That's why you will see me teaching in Vietnam, because at least Vietnam has a good way of incorporating technology.
I think your technology has just cut out right at the end, as that happens for everyone else. But I hear what you're saying. I understand. And I think in the UK right now, it's a really interesting time around the world, but specifically in UK schools, because I think AI is the newest challenge, right, that teachers are trying to get their head around. And I don't know, I'm conscious of time, and I know people probably do have to drop off. But Kamona, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add in terms of what you experience in the UK and how teachers are adapting to change and technology.
Well, there are a lot of teachers who are trying to adapt to changing technology, but then there's the barriers, because there are some who like the old way of life, and that is where you have a little battle. So we have this in our school. There's a fine line. Everyone gets excited when they see new technology, but the moment they try it out, it's like, oh no, I'm back to my old thing. So there is a bit of a battle trying to get everyone to understand that there is benefit to technology. Currently, you're right, AI has been a bit of a good and a bad thing at the moment. So we're trying to get people to accept AI, but not in a way that it sort of takes over their life, because there's good and bad to it. Yeah, but yeah, it is growing, and we're using it for like actual things rather than just playing games on it. And people now know that you can actually create something that will benefit you rather than not. And this is where the Apps for Good and Design for SDG competition, all of these competitions come in. They get to see that, like somebody mentioned earlier, the first time we went on the internet, and I remember that the first time I went on the internet, I didn't know what to do with it. But now we're teaching people what to do with it, and that's what we want. We want people to understand that it's there. It's just not a shiny new thing to like just look at. You can actually do something with it. And I feel like we are learning to do things with it, like with apps. It's not just there for games, but we can actually educate people.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and what a perfect note to finish on. So thank you so much. That does bring us to an end of an incredibly insightful session. I feel like we probably could have spoke for at least another half an hour. Thank you so much to all of our brilliant speakers. I know one of them's had to drop off, but we will make sure she feels that thank you as well. And thank you so much for joining us virtually and being part of this conversation. We do really believe that we can and kind of must address the barriers for women in tech, starting in education. So if you do feel inspired by the conversation today and want to learn more about our work or support us, then please do reach out. We're always looking for partners, volunteers. We need more female role models and funders to help us empower the next generation. So let's keep it going, and thank you so much for joining us all today, and thank you to our wonderful teachers and students.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Well done. Oh, you want to
Hello.
stop the recording?
Oh yes, hang on. If I can remember how to do that. My goodness. I got it started and now I can't see how we stop it. Hang on. Oh, here we are.